million deal with the Lakers. And the one thing a lot of people are saying is be wary of the 4 years. He would not give Dan Gilbert that type of commitment in his days with the Cavs. Essentially, the 4 years saying if you don't get Kawhi right away, we have to wait to get pieces next year. I am here. I am committed. Our Stephen A. Smith reported that at 9:01 a.m. Pacific yesterday, so that's a minute after midnight here on the East Coast, when you can officially make contact with free agents, Urban Magic Johnson was at LeBron James's house in Los Angeles. And if there's anybody that LeBron wants to emulate on the court and off the court with his on-court titles and his off-court business interests, it would certainly be Magic Johnson, who gave himself a self-appointed ultimatum. If I can't get it done by next summer, I'll resign. I think a lot of people knew Magic wasn't totally serious there. He's beat his deadline by a year. LeBron James is now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers, joining this pantheon of greats, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the NBA's all-time leading scorer. On Twitter, I'm sure the Lakers Nation is rejoicing the acquisition of LeBron James, which means that the Lakers are just a smidgen away from being real contenders. Congrats to Magic Johnson. And at LA Lakers Live, that's essentially the Lakers conglomerate and all. Cross your fingers for news from San Antonio. I think we can read between the lines. That obviously means Kawhi Leonard, who would have to be acquired via trade. There are two cities to this story. One is Los Angeles, which is jubilant, and one is, of course, Cleveland, Ohio, who has seen this once before, although I can't imagine they're surprised nearly as much this time as the last one. Our Dave McMenamin is in Cleveland. He's covered the Cavs for years. Bottom line, just the feeling, the energy in the city from those you're talking to.
Yeah, Zubin, I mean, I've been stuck in my apartment reporting, so I haven't actually got out on the streets to see the reaction. But certainly from my Twitter timeline, you are seeing a degree of disappointment, particularly in the 4-year deal, because the way LeBron managed his 4 years in Cleveland was he's going to kind of hold the Cavs ownership over the coals every year and sign a 1-year deal plus one or a 2-year deal plus one, where there was always that kind of cloud covering his time while he was in the season, wondering, well, what's going to happen when the season's over? Will he be back? And the fact that he was able to give that commitment to the Lakers, having never played for them before, there is some salty feelings in Cleveland. But at the same time, you also see, you know, they won on Father's Day back in 2016, the only team ever to come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals, and they beat the team that had the most wins in the regular season in league history to do so, with LeBron having the most iconic moment with that block. So there's a mix of shock and disappointment, but certainly an overall appreciation for what they saw these last 4 years.
No question. Just a moment ago while you were talking, Dave, we took a picture of 4th Street in Cleveland, generally jam-packed when LeBron is out there. Now you see in Los Angeles the reaction is totally different. If the Bear Streets are in Cleveland, the crowd outside of the Staples Center getting ready. Of course, they do have a statue of Magic Johnson out there. They have a statue of Shaq. They have a statue of Oscar De La Hoya, Wayne Gretzky. You got to imagine maybe one day they'll put up a bronze of LeBron James, but the fans are congregating. I got to ask you this now. If I'm a Cavs fan, I think about this, and I think to myself, we lost LeBron, we lost Kyrie Irving, and you're telling me we have Colin Sexton, okay, and you have Dan Gilbert as your owner. And what can you do just at this point to just even try to rebuild for a team that Vegas says now is a 500-1 odds, Dave, to win the NBA title?
Yeah, the two key words that you heard Kobe Alton utter last week, the Cavs' young GM, were player development. And it's not going to be easy to bring free agents into Cleveland. It wasn't easy to do that when LeBron was on the team. So it would be even harder when you don't have an all-time great player on your roster. But if they use their coaching staff in order to get these guys prepared, you know, they believe in their scouting department. And they believe that they can identify raw talent, you know, someone like a Jetty Osman, someone like a Colin Sexton, someone like a Ante Zizic, that they can bring in and make them get better and try to go through, you know, for instance, the OKC model. Now, OKC obviously hit in the draft year after year after year, and that's something that the Cavs are going to have to do throughout this rebuilding process. But not only did they hit in the draft, those guys got better once they were wearing a Thunder uniform. And Kobe Altman's idol when it comes to being a GM is Sam Presti. And certainly he wants to model his organization after what the Thunder are doing and get guys better from the moment they step foot into Quicken Loans Arena and start being a member of the team culture that the Cavs have. So it's a huge task in front of them, but they have the youthful, vigor of this front office. A bunch of guys trying to cut their teeth and establish themselves in the game. You know, you have a young head coach in Tyronn Lue, young general manager Kobe Altman, his assistant general manager Mike Gansey, also well respected in the league, but still trying to make a name for himself. And they're going to have to all do it together. And, I know the personal relationship that exists between Jetty Osman and Kobe Altman. Kobe was the one Cavs international scout that would go over to see him play, and he already has that investment. And, that confidence from the front office into a player means a lot when they are trying to make their first steps in the league. And they're going to have to keep doing that, identify talent that want to be in Cleveland, that want to be a part of this. And it's going to be a long process, likely, not easy. But, they're up for the challenge, and they have an owner. Certainly when it becomes prevalent or there's a chance to spend money, he's going to spend money. He spent more money by far than any other owner in the last 4 years while LeBron was playing for the Cavs.
No question. For all the criticism Gilbert gets, we should mention that. So all Gilbert has to do is beat Presti and draft Durant, Westbrook, and Harden in back-to-back years, and the Cavs will be right back in it at the top of the NBA. That's our Dave McMenamin. Great to have him here tonight on ESPN2. We've got Michael Wilbon, Dave McMenamin, Rachel Nichols, and Brian Windhorst, who is already working the phones. Let's bring in Michael for your perspective.